You know, when they said nerf or nothing, this isn't what I envisioned. What's going on, YouTube? With the Jubilee event in full swing, make sure you're getting your event tickets, your daily golden reward boxes. We need to actually talk about something a little bit more controversial, something that we don't usually talk about on this channel, but it's directly related to farming, the active event. A lot of people have been talking about it in the comments, so I just wanted to break it down and kind of see what you guys think, actually, more than anything, and kind of just talk about what happened. Some of you are probably know immediately what I'm talking about. The other half are like, Jake, what's going on here? And what happened started a little bit innocuously, but what happened is April 7th, Hotfix went out. They fixed the bags of Jubilee yesteryear, which were causing some bags to be empty or have some issues with them. But they also said resolved an issue of highly valuable items in all event droppings dropping at an unintended higher rate. The corrected rates will impact high value items in the rewards, including archival sacks of provisioning, including diminished and regular ethereal dust, ruby blossom extract, perfect row, cyrodiil citrus, and morning dew. So this is a pretty important kind of consideration to remember, is that these were dropping at ridiculously high rates, and a lot of people were very upset about this. And obviously this has big implication on the archival sacks of provisioning, but I want to focus this video more on the Jubilee event since that's what we're currently experiencing and talking about. I can update my video on the archival provisionings and how to convert those to gold. Plus, too, we don't know how much it was changed, but it's important to note that the Jubilee event was dropping them at ridiculous rates. After I had recorded my video doing the Portals event, I had actually opened all of mine, and I realized that every third or every other box, I was getting one of these golden items, and that's a lot. It was to the point where I was concerned that either I was ridiculously lucky or that these boxes were ridiculous. And people started to talk about them in the comments like, oh my gosh, these reward boxes are pretty juiced. And in a situation like this, a couple things can happen. Normally, what I would have thought would have happened is they would have put in a cooldown timer for you to be able to get the boxes. That was actually what I thought was going to happen. Everybody was farming boxes. You can see it's still pretty popular. Everyone's here turning in their event tickets. Probably standing around here. This is a popular place to stand around. And, you know, people were like, man, this is really profitable. But after a little bit, some people started to complain on the forums in my comment sections and started to ping the developers directly, because I saw it, you know, places like Twitter, the ESO forums, etc., Reddit, that they were saying these reward boxes seem incorrect. And here's the problem when you talk about these specific items, is that when it comes to provisioning items, they're only valuable when people need to buy them. So if everybody is getting them at a rate of, you know, one every other box, which essentially is like one every 4 minutes, you know, you start to run into a bit of a problem where if everybody has diminished dust, if everybody has ruby blossom, there's going to be no market for them, and essentially they're now worthless. And it's a very tight line to balance, and I'm not saying what was done was necessarily correct in this situation, but nobody seems to really be talking about the nuance of this situation, which is that if people were allowed for 20 days straight to basically get these items every other reward box or every third reward box at minimum, they would have no value for years. And then everybody who spent the entire event farming them would be like, wait a minute, I just wasted all of that time farming these items only for them to have no value. And what I think is important to remember for the Jubilee event is that the chase items are these motif chapters, furnishing recipes, style items. Various crafting materials had completely destroyed the loot pool. I actually think, and this is my conspiracy theory, is that they're supposed to drop at a rate of between 3 and 5%. But somebody accidentally left a 0 in, and they were dropping at a rate of 30 or 40%. I, honest to God, think that's what happened, because it's only affecting specifically these items here, and I don't even know if these were available last year, because they always usually have various crafting materials as an available drop, and these might have just been added this year as potential drops, or they might have added them into a different loot pool, and there might have been a little bit of a mistake. Well, we know there's a mistake because they admit they're not dropping at their intended rate. I really do think that they were dropping, they're supposed to be at 3 to 4%, they were dropping at 30 to 40%. And the people on console who were getting them, about every 2 minutes, which is a good way to get them, but not even the best way to get them, they were getting, on average, just in these materials alone, on average, an hourly rate of 675,000 gold worth of golden materials, provisioning mats to be specific. That's too much, because here's the problem. If that's allowed to continue, this is a 20-day event. If that was allowed to be there for the whole entirety of the event, by the time the event ends, there's going to be no value to these items. Unfortunately, it would just been completely diminished. So it's interesting because a lot of people have, said that the developers handled this incorrectly. I don't know which group of people you would make more angry, because I own a lot of these materials, and it would be kind of disheartening as somebody who grinded a whole bunch of these things to then just find out that, well, now they're worthless because a event had an error in it where they were dropping it, potentially 10 times the amount of rate. So that's kind of what I just wanted to make this video showcasing, is like, it's not as simple as, oh, these reward boxes are completely dead, because I just want to remind you, the whole reason this event was ever good was this line right here. It was never about the golden provisioning materials. Yeah, it's always good to have good chase items, but the chase items still exist, and the motif chapters are not affected, nor is any of the other items on here. You can still get tons of transmutes, the new styles, blah, 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 whatever. The motif chapters are the chase items, as well as some of these other style pages like the Worm Cult Hunter, etc. And that's where I just want to put the emphasis back to you guys, because a lot of people in my comments have been saying it's not worth farming. Well, if it's not worth farming, it would have not been worth farming last year, or the year before that, or the year before that. And this remains one of the best ESO events to get rare and valuable items, because all you have to do is just kill stuff. And not only that, I just want to point out too that there's even more chase items that didn't exist previously, in some of the other older years, like all these new furnishing items, which sell very well. And granted, the new style page does make you look like a Reddit moderator, but like, I think the style looks pretty decent still. And just as a reminder, you can pretty much do almost any type of content to get these. The most popular ones are obviously the portals and Craglorn. Harrowstorms, people stand by the Harrowstorms in the Reach being very popular right now. It will, obviously, you're gonna have to do it during a populated time of day. If you log in at 3 a.m. on the EU servers, Harrowstorm is probably going to be a little bit tricky. Dragons, very popular right now. Abyssal Geysers, also popular. But Dark Anchors, Alakir Desert, Deshaun, Arteron, Oro Farming Dawn, as we call it, very popular as well. Any world boss, the Bankrai, Breed a Triangle of Death for the bosses is very popular. All this to say, you can get reward boxes very, very quickly. So I'm actually curious what you guys think. I lean towards this. This is what I would have done, right? And I'm not a PR person. I just deal with people that are little rascals throughout the day for my normal job. I would have given a reward to everybody, like, hey, everybody gets bonus, Seals of Endeavors, Golden Pursuit, whatever, something. So everybody gets a bunch of gold, or gets a unique reward, or some really helpful consumables, but then they lower the rates. Or maybe they buff the rates of something else in there, like transmute, something that's not player traded. Because unfortunately, when you affect things that are traded by other players, you are directly affecting things that they own. And if you do it at an unfair rate, essentially you are taking somebody's grinding that they probably intended to profit off of to purchase things, and you have completely ripped the floor out from under them. That's where I think it's a little bit trickier. That's why maybe I would have boosted the odds of the transmute crystals, let everybody get some good transmutes. Maybe boosted the odds of some of the furnishings, although that's tradable, so maybe that would be a little bit, divisive. That's what I probably would have done. Maybe given out just some good, consumable items or something along those lines. But I'm very curious what you guys think, because it's a bit of a complex issue. If you accidentally left in a coding error that let everybody get very valuable provisioning rewards that some players already had tons of and spent, tons of hours grinding or purchasing or farming or whatever, and then everybody was getting them at a ridiculous rate where they were getting hundreds of thousands, almost millions of gold worth per hour, what would you do? Would you let it stay in? Would you, nerf it? Would you buff other things? I'm very curious what you guys think, but this has been the Jubilee Nerf Hotfix controversy everybody in my comments keeps talking about, thinking that I won't discuss it. I do think it's more nuanced than the lines of, text that people are putting on Facebook, which is like, it's not worth farming the Jubilee reward boxes anymore. And I'm like, if it was not worth farming the Jubilee reward boxes, it would have never been worth farming the Jubilee reward boxes because they weren't in them previously for certain years. And this has always been the best event because you could do it at any level. You could do tons of different types of content. It's great for XP. You could get tons of extra stuff to quick sell. You get tons of extra rewards like from dragons, dolmens. You get jewelry to deconstruct. This is a great event. I just feel like a lot of people have let this kind of hotfix overshadow how good this event is. It has definitely been nerfed. Now, whether you think that that was fair or not is a whole conversation, but to say that this event is now no longer worth participating in, I just find it a little bit silly. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is definitely going to be a comment-heavy filled video, which is great because we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is leave a comment and a like on the video. Doing those things will help you become highlighted in the community spotlight, which is how I pick a random drawing winner for that. Second thing you need to do is just be subscribed. I pull a random subscriber every month. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers, so please hit the subscribe button. And the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon screen. If you're the first person to find and comment that word, you will win. I will tell you that it is not on this video because I thought about putting it on this video, just making it be like a funny statement like, oh, Jake, I 100% agree with you or something funny. But I decided, let's not do that because I want people to voice their actual opinions because it is an interesting point of conversation. And I think how people answer in my comments could also directly correlate to how people feel about stuff like this, which can then help me suggest recommendations for when stuff like this either comes up or when people ask my opinion about how rewards and things should be balanced. I'll know what my community thinks. So that's why I want your real, honest opinions on this video. So hit me with them, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.